thought a good entry point to this conversation would be 50 versus Kanye, because that was such a huge moment in 2007. So obviously Kanye dropped Graduation, 50 dropped Curtis. Of course, Kanye outsold him by, I believe, over 300,000 records, something like that. Looking back on how big that was, the Rolling Stone cover, how does it feel 10 years later? Are you surprised at where they each are in their careers?
For me, where I was looking at stuff then, first of all, I love 50. I love how he always competes. Kanye wasn't confrontational, nor the person who was trying to compete with album sales. 50 really ushered that in, and that was the moment for me. Maybe you being in the industry, like maybe you saw it coming. That's when I realized, wait, maybe 50 doesn't have it like he used to. It was a moment when Kanye really took a leap over him, and Kanye became the Kanye that I think has grown and evolved to the Kanye we know now. Before the first two albums he put out, classics, but that point when he did that whole thing and we saw, wow, Kanye has arrived, it changed not only my perspective of both individuals, but I think it changed the landscape of like music. I think we realized that a certain type of music there was an audience there and people ready to buy and accept it. Because before it was all about the gangster stuff, and 50 was thriving on being one of the most feared, or people used to be scared of him, just white America. But at that point it was like, okay, that other lane has been there, or is there. And of course, shortly after being Cudi, so very influential time, not only in music, but definitely both their careers.
Right. And thinking about the projects they went on to release, so after Graduation, Kanye dropped 808s, Dark Twisted Fantasy, Watch the Throne, Yeezus, Pablo, 50 dropped Before I Self-Destruct, Animal Ambition, Street King, Immortal. Joe, what do you think looking back? And where they are now?
Looking back, I expected that answer from Akademiks. Looking back, this was, in my humble opinion, one of the music industry's greatest tricks. I would credit Jimmy Iovine, but I don't know that he came up with this. Whoever at Universal that was the mind that came up with this was one of the greatest tricks that the music industry has ever seen. Now, I'll go back to that time.
You don't think 50 came up with it?
50 did not come up with it. 100%.
He did not?
I'm 100% certain 50 did not come up with it. Let me rewind back to that time. 50 Cent put out his first album. We don't need to talk about what it did. This is 2007, so this is after his second album as well?
Yes.
This is after his second album. Now, if I'm Kanye West, I'm thanking 50 Cent every day for the rest of my life, and let me explain to you why. After album 1 and 2 from 50 Cent, there was no more polarizing figure in hip hop than 50 Cent. He was the only one. Trust me, I know that, because I was the only one attempting to compete with him when we were both brand new artists. He was the only one, right? Debut artist, immaculate success. Second album, very same thing. 50 was really, 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 really arrogant at this time. 50 during all of these interviews at the time, shitted on everybody at Interscope. He shitted on Jimmy Iovine. You know, there was a long run of that, right? I was somewhere saying, with all my label troubles, that you can't shit on the label. You just can't shit on the label no matter how powerful you are. And 50 was doing that for a while, and then we had this. This is a marketing masterpiece. That's what this is. Every 5 years in music, the sound changes. You go from soft to hard to whatever the fuck, mumble, whatever you want it, but every 4 or 5 years in music, the sound changes, right? When you talk about this, when this was happening, while y'all were in college, we couldn't figure out why this was even a competition. We couldn't figure out why 50 and Kanye face to face on magazine covers talking about who will sell more was a big deal. Anybody with a brain could tell you that 50 was going to sell more. That was just the time in 2007. Kanye West was who he was. He wasn't this person yet. This was not a competition. This is label orchestrated. This is manufactured. This is Universal saying we have had enough of 50 Cent and his arrogance. We have had enough of this dominant man just kind of doing whatever the fuck he wanted to do, as it had to do with Universal / universal Interscope. Now, Def Jam, Kanye West, they are universal. 50, Interscope, they are universal. Why would Universal?
Wait, is Def Jam? Is
Yeah,
Def Jam
yes,
Sony?
no, they're universal. Why would Universal, just why, ask me both, why would they make this humongous rollout marketing plan for two of their own artists, pitting them against one another? Why do we think that is? Solely because of 50. Solely because of 50. When Kanye won this matchup, it allotted for people like you to feel exactly like you just fucking said you felt. Kanye was making great music. This is when he made the jump. And from the jump, he never looked back. And from the jump, 50 wasn't able to fucking progress in music.
So not to interrupt you, which I am, but let me ask you a question, right? This is how I've always viewed 50 going at Jimmy. And Jimmy Iovine, of course. If I'm the label head, I gotta strip ego down a bit. Yeah, I know my top artist or the most dominant person in music is dissing me, but I'm still thinking of the money he's gonna bring me. Why sabotage that essentially? Is it just out of ego? Like what is it?
Changing of the guards. Let's look at what has transpired since then. Look at where Kanye is today. Look at where 50 is today. That was the benchmark for that. That was the start of that. 50's still doing amazing things. Not music. There's a reason for that. In 2007, 50 stopped everybody from working with New York acts. Everybody. So now here you have Kanye. Imagine if 50 won this. Like, let's look at it that way. If 50 won this matchup, then what happens moving forward? How is the future, how is our today changed? Because I believe that life is dominoes. You knock one domino down, it changes the course. It depends on how it goes. How would the careers of both of these gentlemen change if 50 won this? And please believe me, in 2007, 50 won this. 50 won this in 2007. 50's not winning this against Kanye, Universal, and Def Jam. You're not winning that. You're not winning that. Kanye not only wasn't supposed to win it, he wasn't supposed to win it by the vast amount he won it by. That's what was happening in the music industry. That's what I mean when I speak to you about smoke and mirrors, about what's actually happening versus what the public thinks is happening. This is one of the greatest tricks I've ever seen in my hip-hop life.
All right, but let me call the question that Kanye West shouldn't win it, right? If I remember at that time, 50 was struggling to get a record.
No, you're incorrect.
A bunch of songs didn't go away until...
Like what? Name them for me.
AO Technology.
That was on this. I Get Money was also on this.
I Get Money was the song he found after he released like 4 that didn't work.
Let me help you. You're not qualified to say what worked and didn't work. AO Technology worked. That record worked. It did work. It was a hit.
No,
worked.
Hold on.
Justin Timberlake.
Worked.
50 Cent.
Okay.
50's the biggest hip hop star at the time. He did the same thing all these other fuck niggas do. Went and snatched the hottest pop nigga and put a record out, and it worked. His core wasn't really talking that shit.
Is that what you mean?
Okay, that's what I mean.
But that record and the single worked.
He, at that time it was very popular that artists, right, of 50's caliber, they would release a street single and a single for everybody, that commercial hit. All the street singles, which was to cater to his core, none of them connected till I Get Money.
What were those records? See, my memory is really bad, so I need to talk
want me
about
to laptop it?
records as
Yeah,
they
you
happen.
can
You
definitely
can
laptop
as he talks.
Yeah, you can definitely laptop it, but I remember very vividly, because I remember when Flex set that off, because I was thinking, yeah, 50 could get those joints, like if he links up with M, he could get another record. If he links up with,
I remember the rumblings of 50 won't beat Kanye with these records.
Okay.
I remember that.
So it
but
seemed like
that's manufactured to me too.
How?
Because because as those rumors were happening, I was checking BDS on AO Technology. That's why. So what was being said and what was happening, they didn't match.
But was the BDS for that record being picked up by these pop stations?
Actually,
which again, it's not as core.
Hey, and this goes to a conversation that you and I have here a lot. AO Technology, maybe you didn't like it, maybe the core felt it didn't work or whatever. The label, during this marketing fucking enigma here, made sure that that single was played enough for this matchup to even be formidable. Fuck what happened with the record. Fuck what the fans think about the record. Interscope pumped enough money into AO Technology that that's just what it was.
Now, compared against Kanye, right? Kanye had, I believe, Stronger. Stronger was the pop single of the pop singles.
He got killed for that one too, by the way. Let me be very clear.
However, he also
it wasn't
had,
only 50 getting killed.
No, but it definitely worked, right? However,
Why?
he had
I think they both worked.
He had a song that kind of appealed to his base as well. Can't Tell Me Nothing. So that was there to support. So he had support on both fronts. I feel 50 was struggling, at least on the front that I believe is most important to 50, which is his core, because his core was always his backing.
50 was set up to lose.
That's
He
interesting.
was set up to fail. He was put in a matchup that he could not win. The
felt like he
industry,
pursued it, though.
the industry, well, that's because during that time, 50 pursued all beefs. I love 50. He pursued all of them. Behind the scenes, and you could Google this and YouTube this information, 50 and Kanye were great.
Yeah, no.
While this was all going on.
They
There was,
did the Rolling
there was
Stone cover.
zero
Yeah.
zero beef. But take their personality types. Take 50 and all he's done. Take Kanye and what we knew of him at that time. This is the greatest matchup ever. Styles make fights. They're polar opposites. They both make great music. He's trending upwards. He's dominating now. They're both on the same fucking label. I want anybody to tell me why that happened. We've never seen that since. We've never seen it before. When have we seen an artist paired up against a nigga on the very same label? We have never, ever seen it. There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it.
To your point, 50 is the only person who's so sales driven. Like, there's a lot of people doing sales now that they never make it so about their sales. Remember 50 was also saying, if I lose, I'm gonna retire. However, it felt like 50 was pushing this, man. Like, it felt like, and also, both of them were helped by this beef, right? Or this competition.
They both were convinced
However,
into doing it.
and I'll ask you, because in my opinion, I felt like 50 was helped more. In terms of, I don't think 50 was gonna sell that
All
amount.
right, we
Without-
done. We are done with you. Let me tell you what this bullshit did. This bullshit set Kanye West up for the next 25 years.
And you
How do-
feel
how
like
do
it
we
dropped
feel?
50.
No.
How do
So
we
yeah,
feel
the other
like it
singles were
helped?
straight to the
No,
park,
no.
amusement park, straight to the bank, amusement park, I'll still kill, were the other singles they were pushing from.
Those songs didn't really connect. Now, the reason that I'm not saying in the bigger picture, I'm saying sales-wise for that week.
Let me ask you a question
I
before
think 50
you
was sold
finish.
significantly less.
How
had it
can
not
your
for that
song?
beef.
How can your songs connect when you're beefing with your label?
I mean, okay, so well, he did after that point. He started blaming the label for not supporting him as he felt like they should, including not giving the budgets that he needed to put out albums.
When
And I get it.
the label takes away their support, the fans will scream that the artistry has failed. No, the label took away support from arrogant ass 50, and they set him up for failure. And we still have Kanye West today delivering this caliber of music. Well, that's debatable, but yeah, this caliber of music. He's set up. He's still at the top. He's still at the top.
Let's pair.
This is in 07. We didn't even know about it. We didn't know a Drake was coming.
Right.
We didn't know a Drake was coming. We are only dealing with the A1 tier of hip hop. And look what the industry tried to do before we knew a Drake was coming.
But
Think about this.
Hold on. I feel like you always put it on the label. You have to pair it up with 50 wasn't given undeniably hot music anymore. Like, when you listen to the music, are you saying that doesn't matter?
You're wrong.
Okay.
Undeniably hot music is relative. So that's an opinion. When Wanksta came out, I didn't think it was undeniably hot, did you?
Well, when it first came out, well, in the club to me it was undeniably hot.
I'm not asking
So you're
you about,
saying-
just follow me. I'm not asking you about in the club, which is undeniably hot.
Okay.
I'm asking you about the songs that are not undeniably hot, that the label makes undeniably hot. When Wanksta came out, did you think it was undeniably
Well,
hot?
when I heard it was at a different time, so the label was already behind it. I thought it was hot then because it was playing everywhere.
Okay, so let me help you out here. When Wanksta came out on a mixtape, it was not undeniably hot. The streets thought it was hot, but the streets normally know what's hot before the labels do. So Wanksta was hot.
Okay, but even that though. All right, so whatever the streets knew were hot.
Let me help you. The streets knew it was hot. We know Wanksta is hot. That is very different from Marshall now making that the lead record in a movie and the lead record on a soundtrack that sold over 400,000 records. That's what I mean. What we think is hot and the marketing behind what they think is hot adds to what some people think. Wanksta's a great record.
All right, so
Undeniably hot? No. Am I chastising 50 for not having undeniably hot music while he was beefing with Jimmy Iovine? No, I am not. 50 makes A1 top-notch music. When Amusement Park came out, it was the talk of the town. It was the talk of the town. It just didn't hit. It didn't connect. And we didn't fuck with it long term. I talk about long term up here a lot. We didn't fuck with it long term. You know why? It was no money dumped into it. Nothing was dumped into that fucking nothing. Hey, after album 1 and 2 from 50 Cent, minimal efforts were dumped into his music career.
Okay.
He started telling us about it in album titles.